Steven, I am the strongest human in the history of humans to be able to pick up this Big Bertha and go upstairs flawlessly.
Steven, did you see me lugging that big case?
Yes, it looked really light.
It is. It's empty. I just did it just for the internet. I really had nothing in it. So that case empty weighs 30 pounds. It's
That's
43
a 30-pound
inches.
case?
It's 43 inches. It's 43 inches long by 12.2 or 12 and a half deep and like 12 or 13 wide.
Wow.
So it's a 30-pound case just with the dividers inside, and that's it.
That is a monster case for a monster camera lens combo.
Yeah, so the Big Bertha weighs 35, 36, 37, roughly, anywhere between 35, 38 pounds, depends. But, altogether, that thing is like 68 pounds when loaded up because it has other accessories in there that I have, and it's just, and it fits perfect. The Big Bertha is 39 to 40 inches long. And then you need obviously some padding, and there's some things that stick up on the top, some of the gear shifters and some of the dials. So I'm glad it fits into this thing because it's a very delicate old device.
Did you end up getting a rolling cart for it? I know we were going back and forth on that.
Yes, I got a 48-inch rolling cart, and I used it yesterday for the first time. So when I picked up, and I filmed all of this, so we have footage of it all. When I picked up the case and I put it in, tried to put it in, there's two handles all the way out the end. So my wingspan is basically 40 inches, like 48 inches, not 48 inches, but whatever the case is, 43, 44. And I can get the two handles on the sides, but if those handles are sticking out, it won't sit into the cart. So when I put those handles down, it fits perfectly right into the cart. And then I move it a certain way so I can get other accessories in, and the tripod goes right on top, and the big ass wheels roll, and it doesn't feel heavy at all. And it was really good to maneuver.
The best thing about those carts, I have one that I use for like the beach, for example, is that it folds up into like a little 1 square foot item. It's great to just throw in the trunk.
It does fold down. It does squeeze together, not as small as the other one, but this is also 48 inches. It fits this thing. It's the perfect fit for this exact setup.
Awesome.
Nothing sticks out. Like I was able to put the monopods in there. I was able to put my stools in there. I was able to just put everything I needed in there, and I rolled it in, and it has brakes on it and everything. So it was a good thing. But back to carrying that thing. So I have to load it in, and I decided to shoot for what we're talking about here is I picked up a Big Bertha I've talked about for a couple of weeks, big ass camera, 1940s, 1,000 millimeter equivalent lens, f8. No, it's 1,000 millimeter lens, not equivalent. It's roughly 1,000 millimeter lens on a 5x7 type camera called a home portrait Greyflex, which was built from 1912 to 1942, and it shoots 5x7 negatives. So it's massive, it's big, and to get this thing into a stadium takes a lot of, no, not even to get it to the stadium, just get it out of my studio, Steven, is not easy.
So can you roll that cart throughout the stadium to park at your spot?
Well, that's what I did. Okay. I rolled it. So I didn't take the escalator because it wouldn't work on the escalator. It was funny. One of the security guys I went in and I was like, hey, could you grab that door for me? And he starts to grab the door to go downstairs. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm not going downstairs with this. So anyway, I walked through the concourse where there were already fans. I had to go to there's an elevator that takes you up to the 300 level because I was going to 320. And when you get to 320, to the spot where I want to go is a spot where they will add extra cameras sometimes, but it's always empty. And so the security guy blocked it off so that people couldn't walk there to get in and out of the rows. So they had to go the other way in the row. But there's like 12 or 15 stairs to go down there. And I realized when trying to take my big case, well, there's also a railing in the middle. So I have to hike it up over the railing, going downstairs, holding it a specific way. The one guy's like, just ride the rail. He wasn't wrong. I could just rest it on the rail and do it. But I hiked it up and held it a certain way. But when I was leaving, I kept the camera rolling for all of that. And I'm just like, how am I going to do this? Deadlift it, lift it over my shoulder, hike up the stairs. And it's awkward because it's not like it's the perfectly balanced case.
You loved it. You're like, yes, finally a chance to show off my muscles in this tight muscle shirt.
my muscle shirt, which was soaked completely through because it
I
was
bet.
super hot.
A real humid day, yeah.
Dude, I was sweating. It just went right through. It was humid, not as humid as it's been, but it was still a lot.
The worst are those brutal, like overcast, muggy, humid days where your sweat is just going nowhere. It's just resting on your skin and not evaporating.
Yeah, it was overcast, and then it was like the sun was coming out, and I was worried because I thought it was going to be cloudy most of the day, and I would use 400 speed film because of that. But I ended up, I had to max out the shutter speed, which I ended up doing, and it maxed out at roughly 1/1000th of a second. And I guarantee you, it's probably shooting at about 1/500th or 1/400th. It's overexposed. It overexposed the negatives, so it wasn't perfect.
So wait, it's set to 1/1000th, but shooting at 1/500th?
Well, the shutter is old, so it's not getting the exact perfect timing. Because remember, these are springs and everything's loaded, so it's not perfectly timed and it's old.
You
and
think it's that far off though, like a full stop?
So the guy that had it before me said he tested it to like 1/660th of a second when it was on 1/1000th.
Okay.
I think it's even further. I mean, I look at the negatives and the negatives look overexposed, but everything is able to be brought back with the scan without a problem because there's so much detail there that it's not a problem at all. So I think it's off at least a stop and a half, if not 2 stops, but that's whatever. As long as I have an exposure, it's really all that matters. Exposure and focus.
When you scan these, what's your bit depth? Are you doing like 16-bit TIFF files? What are you doing?
I'm doing them into PSD files.
Okay. Even better.
I have it at 2400 DPI, 3200 PPI. It's like a 700 meg file, but I don't know if I need to do it that high. I really have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to the scanning part of it.
Just
but I'm
max it out.
Well, I didn't fully max it out, but when I do the 4x5, I do those at a certain thing, and I've been very happy with those results. And I've even compared them next to actual drum scans, and the drum scanner is going to be a heck of a lot better, but I got to send those out to be drum scanned, and that's also a hell of a lot more expensive. But that is a 1-to-1 scan of all of the actual film grain. It's just incredible what a drum scan does.
I just wonder what your color depth is set to. Is it a 24-bit file, a 16-bit file? Like how massive?
Well, it's black and white, so
sure.
I only shoot black and white. I don't know where it says bit depth in here.
Because that should still affect banding in the sky if you're bringing it back, stuff like that.
Oh, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. This software is, I mean, they've updated it, but it's like at the end of its life. They're not really going to keep doing these softwares much longer because I would venture to say that the
not a huge audience for it.
Well, the Epson Scan V850 was like it's like 15 plus years old, and it's the last of the scanners that Epson did. I mean, it's fantastic. I'm very happy with the results I got and that I'm getting. So I just set it, shoot it, scan it, the way I did, and we're good. But I shot 12 negatives yesterday.
Wow.
And just looking at the first couple, I know that there's a delay. You think of a shutter delay today, it's milliseconds, like fractions, milliseconds. This thing, I don't know if it's like a quarter of a second off from the time, because what happens is the mirror is flipped down like an SLR.
Sure.
So when you press the shutter, the mirror has to flip out of the way, then the shutter goes. So as you're seeing the action, which you can follow, you hit the shutter. Funny thing is the shutter's on the left-hand side. The left-hand side of the box. The left-hand side of the camera down at the bottom is the shutter release.
Does that help you being like a lefty?
It doesn't matter.
I'm just curious.
No, it doesn't matter.
Do
You
you
can put it
prefer that
wherever
or
you
not?
want. It doesn't matter because it's just muscle memory. You just got used to doing it for so long. But it's different. It's like it's a switch. It's not a shutter. You'll see on this old camera.
Okay.
I mean, it's like a big ass box. It's got winding. To set the shutter, I have to set. There's 2 knobs I have to turn. There's 2 tensioning knobs. There's the 1 through 6 knob, and that corresponds with one of the rows. So there's a chart, the fuck around and find out chart, basically. So on one side, it has the 1 through 6, and then on the other, it has aperture openings for the shutter.
Okay.
Wrap your head around aperture of a shutter, by the way.
Yeah.
What that means is there's slits that go across horizontally. So the smaller the slit, that's a small aperture of a shutter. That's going to be for a faster shutter speed. The wider the slit, it's going to be a slower shutter speed, and that's a wider aperture. So it's done at like 1/8 of an inch. It's an 1/8 of an inch shutter aperture. It's a whole thing.
Are we talking like shutter angle?
It's literally the aperture of the shutter, how open it is.
Sure, but it's very reminiscent of shutter angle, which, yeah, it's more for video, but it's very similar in terms of like a rotary shutter moving with a certain slit in it, depending if you want a 180-degree shutter or a 90-degree shutter. It only lets a certain amount of light in, depending on how big that slit is. It's not the same thing. I'm just saying it sounds similar
it's
to
in fractions.
shutter
It's
angle.
weird, but it all corresponds with the stuff. And I got it maxed out. I was between 1/1000th of a second and 1/660th of a second. It's like a whole thing. And then there's a film back that actually has 12 shots in it. So I don't have to use 12 cases, 12 bag things. It's called a bag mag, and you literally move this thing. You got to you'll have to see it on camera to see how it works.
Is it a lot quicker shooting with this camera than, say, something like the 4x5, where you actually have to manually pull it out and put the next one in, since you do have all 12 sheets in one back?
Yeah, it's easier. There's other brain things I have to keep in mind. Like after I take the picture, I have to flip the mirror back down, which creates a light tight box again, because if you don't and you wind the shutter or you do anything, it's open to the outside until you lock that mirror back.
Now, when you're focusing with this specific camera, it's not like the 4x5 where everything is flipped upside down. You're actually seeing almost in real time what the camera is seeing, right? Like a true SLR?
Well, it's backwards.
It is still backwards? Okay.
There's no pentaprism.
But wasn't the 4x5 flipped upside down?
The
Or was it just
4x5,
backwards?
I think the 4x5's upside down.
That's what I thought too.
But this has
A lot
a mirror.
harder to frame is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so this is a mirror, and it's not upside down, it's just backwards.
Okay.
So if I want to move towards first base, I have to, I move
All
the
your
camera to
movements
the
are
right.
opposite, yeah.
Yeah, they're the opposite. So I was able to track subjects. I was able to pull the focus. The only thing is those glasses that I bought to help me see focus closer did not work the way that I wanted them to work. And the reason is I couldn't get at the right angle with them. And second, the aperture of those spectacles that I bought don't let enough light in when I'm blocking. So everything was coming in dark into my eyes because my head is blocking all the light, and the only light coming in is through the lens, which is at f8. And so basically the aperture of these little glass things aren't wide enough to absorb enough light to make it easy enough for me to see.
So the issue that we're explaining is Jared was trying to figure out, like, how can he check critical focus on the back of this camera while framing his shot, where before with his 4x5, he could simply just use a normal loop, hold it up real quick, check focus, and then fire away. This one, you have to be, 8 inches away, give or take?
It's like 11 inches. I measured it.
11 inches away. And there's nothing that exists that's kind of like an extension loop or some kind of extended telescopic loop. So the only solution we could come up with was, like, how about surgical loops or some kind of dental loops or something like that, where you could just kind of flip them over your glasses, check critical focus, flip them back up, get your framing, fire away, and call it a day. It seemed in theory like it would work great, but I guess in practicality, it didn't really work well. The other thing is these loops could be anywhere from $30 for a cheap pair on Amazon to thousands of dollars for legit surgical loops. And you have to keep in mind the magnification ratios, what's the diameter of the lenses themselves, so many things.
So I'm trying to find the best solution, and I've bought 6-time glass readers for reading newspapers and stuff, like readers.
Yeah.
And the problem with the 6X, the problem with the 3X, the problem is everything has to be 2 inches from my face for me to be able to see it. So I need magnifiers.
When you mentioned readers, I thought that was going to be the case where your working distance was only going to be a few inches. The issue here was we needed to find something that was that 11-inch range, and the surgical loops seemed to be the right answer for it, but we still couldn't find ones that were exactly that. A lot of the working distance was like 16 inches away or 20 inches away. It depended on which one we got.
I will say the surgical loops for looking at my phone for a specific area is incredible. I was like, is this what it's like to see clear and crisp and things right in front of your face.
When you were doing the audiobook for book 2, I remember you were like, I can't see the laptop. I'm like, Jared, it's literally a foot in front of you. How do you not see it? How do you not read? Can you not read your phone if you're holding it out? And you're like, no,
not very
it
well.
all makes sense now.
So that critical focus thing is a big deal here with the 5x7
Sure.
and being 11 inches away. The thing I thought I needed was the Game Boy magnify glass with light that came out with it was an accessory you could get with the original Game Boy.
I had
now
it.
it's like 3 or 4 inches away and it made the screen bigger. I need something along those lines, or I need a pair of glasses that does this specific thing. I am going to the eye doctor Monday because now that my eye is kind of like clear for once, like in a good spot, I'm going to get all types of glasses fitted for. Like I want reading glasses for reading. I want to try progressives for seeing at a distance and I need computer glasses. And then I'm going to be like, dude, I need to see like between 10, 11 inches away. Is there a magnifying thing is there something we can do that would let me do that? And I'd get a pair of those. And I guess what I also need to do is actually wear my glasses when shooting photos with this camera, because I never wear glasses with cameras. So I should have been wearing my actual glasses, but I didn't even think about it because I'm so used to when I'm using the 4x5, I put my eye right up to the loop. And when I use a regular camera, I put my eye right up to the camera. And so in this case, I put my whole face into the freaking thing, and I could put on a regular pair of glasses.
The only issue I could see is you're saying, even with the loops, there wasn't enough light when you would stick your head into the framing or whatever it is, because you would lose all the light, all the surrounding ambient light. Would that also be an issue if you're wearing your sunglasses and then you look in?
Yes, I tried wearing my sunglasses. I put my sunglasses on for one of the times doing it, and it was too dark.
Because you're really sensitive to light, and you do need your sunglasses when you're out in bright light.
Yeah, but I make it work. But plus, where I was shooting from, as far away as I was, the subjects are smaller in the frame, so it's even harder to see critical focus.
Sure.
So anyway, I might go back. They play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all afternoon games. I might go shoot from different situations, different angles. I didn't get to shoot down low yet, but also my friend who develops these, she is going away, so now I will take over the mantle of developing them. She's more by the book and does everything perfectly, like surgically, and make sure that the time is exact and her agitation is perfect.
Good enough.
And I'm like, fuck off. I'm like, do 6 at a time. We've got 3 of these. Just agitate them as they go. She's like, that's how you get lines. I'm like, I don't care. Just fucking get it done.
Patience, my friend. Patience.
But shooting the Big Bertha is certainly a head turner, and I'm really confident with the camera. I was very confident going in terms of being able to compose and expose. Focusing was the biggest concern, and so focusing will continue to be the biggest concern.
And expose and compose. I mean, your framing is so limited anyway with such a giant lens like that. There's only so much you can do besides just point and click.
Well, from where I'm at, like, you can follow the action. There's somewhere I followed the action. Now, I don't know if the guy will stay in focus or not, and I have to look at it. I just have to work on shooting sooner. I just have to focus on, okay, this is it. The action's happening. Take the picture before the peak is going to happen.
It doesn't have pre-capture?
Yeah, no pre-capture. But the way that you advance to the next film, so you'll have to physically see this. We should probably make a video of it, but there's literally 12 holders that go into one back, and there's a bar that pulls out, and you push it back in, and that pulls it out into a dark bag on the side of this thing that you tilt back and slide into the back. And then the new one comes to the front. It's pretty amazing. It's a bag. That's how I believe the guy who photographed the Hindenburg banged off 3 shots because he had a bag.
Shooting action, my question is, what is your working depth of field? What is your aperture? Because that lens is locked at a certain aperture, correct?
What's f8? It's f8.
But what's the 35 millimeter equivalent?
No idea.
And you're shooting from how far away? Your depth has to be pretty extreme.
Yeah, pretty far away at least 300 feet. 200 feet. Like, it's 401 feet from home plate to center field. And I'm in section 320, so that's another 50 some feet. I'm probably Well, from the picture, maybe 200 plus feet away.
Yeah, you're pretty damn far. My thing is, you probably could track moving subjects, right, with that depth.
Absolutely. I was doing it, but I don't know that they're going to be. They're going to be close. They're going to be really close.
Close
but
enough,
see what these guys did back in the day is they would swing, and the problem is because I'm so high and I have to tilt so down. I had to stand on the top ledge of my stool because I have a step stool, one that actually has multiple steps, and if I can set the camera up, well, let me just say this. The reason I had to be up so high is because there's netting around every stadium. There's netting around home plate and most of the left field and right field areas. So I don't want to shoot through the netting. So I have to be up a little higher in this case. I've got some other areas I want to go. So this was just test number 1, and it went well.
I mean, it almost looks like you're shooting with a broadcast camera.
Yes, it does.
Like one of those giant Fujinon, broadcast lenses.
It does.
It really does.
It does.
Yeah.
But it's certainly an experience to be able to do, and I like the challenge of trying to make it work, and it opens more doors because more people look at it and they're like, what the hell is this thing? So it's not as unique as the Aero Ektar for my 4x5, but it is certainly a fun little project to undertake.
It's very cool. Very unique.
All right, moving on here. We've got some news to talk about. We've got some AI stuff to talk about that people gave me shit for. But first thing I want to talk about now is a question came in from someone. I like to say, I always say readers, but watchers, whatever. Someone who follows along. We'll call them a fan. And I gave them a very Jared answer back. So the question was...
Angry Jared?
I am going on a family vacation to Branson, Missouri and Silver Dollar City. I have the Sony 28-70 f2 and I love it, but I'm afraid to take it on vacation, thinking of getting the Sigma 28-105 2.8, planning on taking just one lens. We'll be shooting on either the Sony A7CR or Sony A7R5. Do you think it would be better to get the Sigma just to be safe or just take the great Sony 28-70 f2? Thank you. My answer? Take the fucking Sony. You buy the fucking lens that is it's an amazing lens. This is the thing I always argued with people when they would come into the camera store, and Jared as a young salesperson basically telling the customer they're fucking idiots because they're like, I'm going on this trip to Alaska, but I don't want to carry a real camera. And so the answer to this is simple. You take your 28-70 f2. What are you worried about? Why do you buy these lenses if not to use them?
Well, my question is, what is he shooting? Because if he's shooting landscapes, I don't know if that's the best choice because you're most likely stopped down shooting from afar anyway.
Yeah, but I don't think you should be going to spend money on a 28-105. When I went to Paris, I took a 28-70 f2 because the point is when you're traveling, it's not about taking tight pictures. It's about showing the environment that you're in. It's about capturing the scenes around. You're going to get, if it's family stuff, you're going to get family shots. You're going to get group shots, but you're still going to be able to show the scene. There's no reason to waste money, in my opinion, on a Sigma 28-105. Did we review that lens, by the way?
Yes, we did.
I don't even remember using that lens. Did I take it to baseball, I'm assuming? I probably took it to home plate, if I had to guess.
Most likely.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
I don't even remember shooting that lens anymore. Do you know how much it is?
Not off the top of my head. It was 9 months ago when we reviewed it, and we compared it to the Tamron 35-150 f2-2.8 lens.
Huh. That's a $1,500 lens. Why would you spend $1,500 when you already own one of the coolest lenses out there? And you're at 70 and that one goes to 105. But his email back to me, because he replied, I wanted him to call in, but he's busy today trucking somewhere. He said, someone told me to take the 28-70. Someone told me to take the 28-70 f2 and use the crop mode on the Sony A7CR to get further reach, which you believe would give me a long range up to 105 via the crop mode. I have never used the crop mode before. Will it hurt the sharpness and resolution at all? I know 61 megapixels, whatever. My answer, Steven?
Don't crop.
Like, fuck off. I'm like, just take the fucking lens. You don't have to worry. Don't even crop. If you want to, don't crop in the like, you don't have to use crop mode. But I was like, what are you shooting that you need to worry about being longer than 70? That's really the question. And for general purpose images, your 28 to 70 f2 that you spend all this money on is going to be great for just about everything you need there. Sure, will a 28 to 105 give you a little more? But would you rather trade quality for reach? I mean, you can crop in with the 28 to 70 if you want to. You have the A7CR or the A7, the R5. Like, look, if you want to crop, that's fine. That's up to you. But most of the things that you're shooting on this vacation do not require you to have a 400 millimeter lens, a 300 millimeter lens, a 200. Like the lens when I travel that I don't need the most is a 70 to 200. It becomes worthless at this point because it's just a tight picture of something.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the crop mode as well. The nice thing about the A7CR and the A7R5 cameras, they both can be great APS-C shooting cameras too. They have the crop mode, the 26 megapixel crop mode, which gives you a 1:1, 1.5x crop. Or you could even set your full frame image to 26 megapixels, and it takes an oversampled image from the 61 megapixel sensor and gives you a 26 megapixel resolution file in the end. So you could, across the board, have full frame images mixed with APS-C, cropped images all at 26 megapixels, and lose really no quality. It really renders that camera as one of the best APS-C cameras that Sony offers. It would be the highest resolution APS-C camera if you think about it. But that's personally what I would do. Bring a 28 to 70 f2, shoot it full frame when you need the extra reach, crop mode, and you're good to go. But I would definitely not get both lenses.
No, that's just overkill.
Yeah.
The moral of the story, and the reason I brought this up, is that a lot of people run into this same issue and discussion is like they're afraid to take their lenses on vacation. Why? What are you worried about? Like you're afraid to take your good glass away? Isn't that the point of having it? Like I get that it's expensive. I get that it's your professional gear or it's professional gear. But the reason we buy this stuff is to use it. Take it around the world. That is the point. And don't worry, like you're gonna get robbed, you're gonna get fucking robbed. Like I don't go into the situation worrying that I'm going to get robbed because someone's going to be like, it's a 28 to 70. You could have a 50 millimeter 1.8 plastic fantastic, and someone's going to think it's the most professional lens in the world. I just go out and shoot with the gear that you spend all this money on.
Yeah, for me, it's not about the thought of it getting stolen or something like that. It's more just the weight and size of it. If you're walking around all day, like half the time I have my toddler in my hands, so it's just a lot extra to have a camera around my hip too, or around my neck or whatever it may be. So I get the argument of like wanting to bring something smaller for travel's sake, but not so much about theft.
Well, the 28 to 105 is bigger than a 28 to 70
much
and heavier
bigger.
Anyway.
Significantly bigger. Yeah, I don't know about that much heavier.
Oh, that 28 to 105 is a big lens.
It is a big lens, yeah, but keep in mind, f2 versus 2.8.
Which is all the reason to take the f2.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some I almost said Leica news. Let's move on to some news that it does include Leica. A Leica Zero series sold for $8.5 million at auction. You know, that's a great purchase right there by a Leica shooter. You know my thing with Leicas, as I always say, I think that Leica shooters take more pictures of their physical camera than actual pictures with their cameras.
Well, we brought it up in the Sigma BF review that we just put out. You know, it's more of a collector's piece. It's more of an item to show off.
Look at me. I'm a Leica shooter. I'm so cool.
Like you said, it's more of an item that you want to be seen in pictures with it instead of actually taking pictures with it.
Well, it's like I have an acquaintance, a friend, a guy that I met here in Philly. And the night I met him, I was out to dinner and he came over and he said hi. And he has Leica in his Instagram name. And he had a Leica with him to go out to dinner. I just don't think there's any reason for you to carry your Leica around to dinner to take shitty pictures of someone holding a drink in shitty light. Like, you needed a Leica for that? And really, it's like, well, it goes hand in hand with the Rolex that the guy's wearing, right? So it's like, it's a showpiece.
Sure.
People just want to be like, oh, you have a Leica. How cool are you if you have a Leica? And my buddy, he just went on a vacation to travel, and he took 3 Leica bodies. Wow. It was like, you need 3 Leica bodies to travel? This one guy's having an issue with taking a 28 to 70, and he had like an SL2, so he had to take those lenses and then 2 different. I didn't look at the picture that close, but I guess it's probably a Leica monochrome M11.
That was the
M10.
picture you sent me, right?
Yeah.
That had to be like 30 plus grand at least worth of gear.
Oh, well, more than that. So Leica, so it would have been like a monochrome rangefinder with a Summilux something, a 35 or a 50, f2 or whatever they are. It had, then there was like an SL2, so that's their, I guess, larger camera. So you need the lenses for that. So there's like the 70 to 180 or whatever. And then the other one, I bet you, was the Q3 43.
Yep.
What do you need 3 Leicas for to go on vacation? What do you need 3 systems for to go on vacation?
It's severely overkill, in my opinion. That's even tough to show off with, unless you're just posting a picture of all the gear while on vacation. But
well, that's what it was.
3 bodies around your neck at all times.
Look at me. I'm a Leica shooter. I have all the Leicas.
Now, I do understand the appeal for wanting a true rangefinder, and there are some photo snobs that simply just want a Leica to shoot with that real rangefinder experience. But I would think for the most part, 75% of Leica owners are buying it for the value, the show-off value, the collector's item piece, that kind of stuff.
You didn't spend $8.5 million on this Leica, Steven?
I did not.
Come on, it's just a great piece that you could use.
It's chump change for Jared Polin.
Not as much. Leica 0 series. It was a prototype, and it was numbered like number 20. Number 12, I believe, 112. So the rare camera, a 0 series number 112, didn't reach astronomical heights of the O series 105 prototype that sold for a record-setting $15 million in 2022. Some other douche bought it. But the other unique benefit to this camera that it was the actual Leica founder Oscar Barnack's personal camera.
Oh. There's
right?
the value, yeah.
Yeah, but who fucking cares that it was someone's camera? I never understood that. I never understood, like, somebody owned this watch. It's the provenance. It's more that
for sure.
People care about the show-off thing, again, to say, well, so-and-so owned this, which makes it much more valuable.
I am curious if any actual Leica owners buy third-party glass, like Sigma. Like, would they put a Sigma lens on their beautiful, luxurious Leica? Because I can't see that happening. I feel like that's really weird. It's like buying a Ferrari and putting like the worst tires on it or something like that.
Steven, do you put Firestones on your Lamborghini?
Exactly.
Do you put Pirellis?
But seriously,
I don't know nothing about tires.
Anyone buys Sigma glass for Leicas?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody is like, I have the best Leica, and now I'm going to put a plastic fantastic on it. So anyway, if you bought the $8.5 million camera, you're a douchebag, and you probably have a lot of money, which is perfectly fine. Spend it on whatever you want to spend it on. So some quick Apple news that found to be pretty interesting, that Apple is potentially going to be making their own image sensors, or maybe they developed an image sensor that says it has almost 20 stops of dynamic range for whatever they decide to make it for. So if they design it and develop it, then they can have one of their sensor manufacturers make it to the specs that they have. So what do you think about this?
I want to know what's the catch. Where's the caveat? For the extra dynamic range, what are you sacrificing? I would think resolution and readout speed are sacrificed, but I don't know. I do find it interesting that they said in the article that it's not computational photography like current Apple sensors. It would be all happening at the sensor level. So there would be no separate dedicated processor for the computational photography part. It would be the sensor itself making the changes. It would be a single capture versus stacked computational images,
which is interesting. So I guess part of this stems from, I guess, with the F1 movie, Apple did use. They basically used the sensors from iPhones and put them into certain cameras to mount them in cars to make them inconspicuous and to record. I mean,
I thought Sony did that.
Sony did some stuff too. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's Apple. I mean, how many more pictures are taken with a Apple camera than with any other camera? I mean, you got Android too, so there's a lot there. But Apple quality of Apple phones in terms of pictures are fine. I just don't want to. It's just so frustrating when people still look at these cell phones as if they're the end all be all of camera capability.
Agreed.
And like whenever Apple makes a commercial, if you've ever seen the rigs that they use to make a commercial with the iPhone 16 Pro Max, there's literally like it's in a box and then they put a massive lens on the front of it and then they have all the lighting and they're on a dolly and then they have everything and it's flying. It's like, well, that's not taken with the make a video using just the camera, just the phone. No other accessories, just the phone.
Yeah, they have like all the Fisher dollies and the cranes and all the super high-end expensive stuff that you can only rent for like hundreds of thousands of dollars to take phone video. That's why it looks so cinematic and amazing, because of the rigs they're using more so than the sensor they're capturing it on.
Exactly.
Now, back to the new sensor, they do say that each pixel will be controlled independently based on the level of light hitting it. So it could independently do noise reduction and have different levels of light for, again, each pixel. So it's not the computational photography that we're used to. So if that's the case, I mean, that would be next level, finally a giant shift in technology, a giant leap when it comes to smartphone sensors. But we'll see if it actually comes to light.
Well, and also it's probably going to enhance computational photography too. So if they do certain things at the sensor level, that's going to allow them to be a step ahead when they decide to do some more computational stuff that they can pull out of that as well.
And the computational stuff already is amazing. I mean, look at the low light images that you take. I mean, yeah, you have to stay still for 2-3 seconds to let it stack those images and take several photos in a row. But the fact that you get such a clean image out of a smartphone these days, when if you tried to take that with an actual real camera on a tripod, you'd have to have a tripod and a slow shutter speed. It's just night and day almost.
Moving ahead, hit us with the next stories, because we got a bunch of different stories that you have news from.
Well, it looks like the new Nikon Z8 firmware has a major issue with Tamron Z-mount lenses.
Who warned you? Who warned you in Photo News or wherever I said it was like, ooh, I would probably wait a few weeks to install new firmware just to see if there are any issues.
Always wait.
Issues.
Always wait a few weeks or wait for that 3.01 patch that comes out. You don't want to be an early adopter, a beta tester for something like this. So yeah, apparently it affects third-party lenses. So think about Viltrox, Tamron specifically here, they're saying. But Viltrox also published a statement saying not to have a Viltrox lens attached to your Z-mount body when updating, just in case. Apparently there's some issues there as well. Now, I do question, will this affect something like the Nikon 28-75 lens, which basically is a rebranded Tamron G2 lens? Will that affect it? I don't know.
That would be interesting. Don't know. But that's just the warning always with firmware is you don't want to bork your firmware or bork your camera or bork your lens because you didn't just wait. There is no reason to update firmware, honestly, unless there was some feature that you've been waiting for or some issue that you've run into. Like, the things that they generally fix are so nominal that it doesn't matter. Like, if you've been fine with your camera, you've been fine with your camera. But when it's major shifts, you definitely want to wait. You definitely want to wait because they just can't QA everything.
Agreed. When it's simple bug fixes and patches here and there, that's a different story than introducing
Patches O'Houlihan.
than introducing a new firmware with completely new features. Now, a lot of them are saying I think the focus limiter, that new digital focus limiter where you can set your focus on the lens in camera on where to stop the focus, where to start it. Apparently that's the new setting that's really affecting these Tamron lenses. And then speaking of Tamron, they actually just put out their new 16-30 2.8 G2 that completes the Trinity on the Sony line. It one-upped the original 17-28 G lens that they put out a couple years ago.
Not wide enough.
It's not wide enough, yeah, but it's also much less expensive than the standard G Master 12-24 or something like that.
How much is this lens?
This one is $929, which comes in a little more expensive than the 17-28. I think that was like $900 when it came out.
The 16-30 range still to me is so weird. I know that the big lens back in the day for Canon was 16-35,
which I hated. I personally owned the version 2 and the version 3, and I always was jealous of Nikon users using a 14 to 24.
It's the holy grail, man.
That extra millimeter really matters when you're that wide.
Sigma has that 14 to 24 2.8, the one that I took on the road with Bernie. I just think that 14 is much wider than 16 for a field of view. It does make a difference. The 16 to 20, 16 to 32.8, I have it here. I shot it the other day. It's a smooth range. It's fine, but just like I want wide at I want wider. I don't need the 30.
Yeah, I do think these are, the budget-friendly lenses. Granted, they're not that much of a budget-friendly lens anymore at $929. Like, these used to be the $700 lenses for the most part. You could get the whole trinity for like a single G Master lens, where now you're spending $3,000+ for the set. And then speaking of the set, you do have it for Sony, but you don't have it for Nikon. This lens is available for the Z mount, but you're still missing out on the 70 to 180 that they have on the E mount line in terms of the G2 lenses.
Didn't they make a 70 to 180?
Nikon does.
Yeah, that's the Tamron.
That's the version 1. I don't think that's the G2.
Oh well.
And then we have more rumors for the A7 IV. This is coming from a total anonymous source, says Sony Alpha Rumors, your favorite rumor website. And they're saying, I saw some prototypes. 44 megapixel, 20 frames per second non-stacked sensor that is 100% confirmed in an A7 V body. It has the same body as an A12. It has the same screen as an A12. It'll have the AI chip, and it will have the new improved EVF compared to an A7 IV, and then better heat management. I feel like this is someone just throwing a bunch of crap at the wall and being like, hey, this might be some A7 V specs here.
Why 44? Like, it just doesn't.
Why not?
Because if they didn't fix or get right the sensor
shutter
readout speed at 33, how are they going to get it right at 44 unless they go partially stacked?
I mean, I would assume this is a brand new sensor. Like, think about the R5 had a 44, 45 megapixel sensor, and that was still a fairly fast readout speed at like 16 milliseconds, something like that. I just find it odd that if this rumor is true, this seems more like a competitor to the original R5 and the Z8 more than like an R6 II or an A7 IV. Why not stick to that sweet spot of 33 megapixels? However, I do think 44 is nice because then you can do 8K video or that oversampled 4K video. I think more about video features than still resolution when it comes to 44 megapixels.
And I care more about the film, the shooting photos than the video part. But I look at it and it's like we got away from the megapixel wars for a while, but with higher megapixels comes issues when you get into lower light situations. Even though the cameras continue to get better and better, there is nothing wrong with the 24 megapixels. There's nothing wrong with the 33 megapixels. I just don't know why they just don't go either go fully stacked, but for less money because you're the manufacturer, and then give people that 33 megapixel, give them the 20 frames a second with electronic shutter with a stacked sensor, or go partially stacked like they've done in building out Nikon sensors. It's just odd.
I think Sony needs their A7 III moment again for an A7 V because the A7 IV really did not make a splash. I think they need to up everything and stop with the 10 frames per second limit they've had for how many years now at this point. I did love the introduction of a 33 megapixel sensor when the A7 IV got announced, but you were pretty much limited to 6 frames per second if you shot uncompressed or lossless compressed. And the rolling shutter was insane if you even tried to shoot electronic. So you really couldn't shoot electronic. But again, I find it odd that they're kind of going after something like an R5 versus something like an R6 II, A7 IV, that area, or Z6 III. But also imagine if that type of camera came in at $2,500.
Yeah, it won't.
It won't.
Not in this climate.
Especially with the story we're about to talk about, with more price increases, specifically from Sony. It looks like they raised their prices on just about everything from lenses to bodies, mainly the A12. That one was a pretty steep increase. It is now selling for $7,000.
Wasn't the A1 up to close to like $6,800 when it was announced?
I think it was 6,500, correct?
I don't know, maybe, I don't know why I'm thinking 6,800 somewhere. I just feel like something might have been priced that high, or maybe we guessed. Like, how could you have a camera that expensive?
Yeah, I just looked it up. It was $6,500 USD when it first got announced. And I think we would always say it was 6,800 when you would compare it to like an R3 or
when you got the grip.
When you got the grip, because you had to pay the extra couple $100. Actually, it was more like $7,000.
Yeah, that made that camera that much more expensive because you had to get extra batteries and everything.
And now you'd be looking at close to $7,500 if you wanted to add a grip, extra batteries, all of that kind of stuff, to compete with the integrated bodies like a Z9 or an R1. But $7,000 for a flagship, wow, expensive. And everything else went up anywhere from $100 to $300-$400.
Yeah, all the bodies, all the lenses, and like I was saying in Photo News Fix, that a lot of people forget how it does hurt not just the consumer, but the smaller business owner. And the reason is, when you're a small business owner, you have to upfront the money to have stock. I mean, you have to do that, like whether you're B&H or not, and there's ways to float money and to do it right. But if you now have to you have to stock 5 A1s, 2s, or whatever you have on order, you have to pay for it. So you're now paying thousands of dollars extra in everything that you do. And then maybe your margins haven't changed, or maybe you'll make more money, maybe you won't, but you won't because the margins aren't there, right? Because now the price is higher. You're not making as much because you have to buy it for a certain amount because the price went up to you, and you're left footing the bill. But what happens if tomorrow the tariffs go away? You then eat this inventory at the higher price. Do the prices instantly come down? Because you can't sell the camera at that high price once they come off.
Definitely going to be just like pandemic pricing. Everything's going to go up and never come back down. Guarantee it, because now there's an excuse. They can throw the tariff excuse in there even if they come down.
Well, my favorite is when I'm shipping UPS or FedEx and it's like fuel surcharge. I'm like, how about suck my ball surcharge? Like, I remember when the crisis, it was probably during Bush's term, and the oil prices, gas prices were soaring, and so these FedExes and UPSs tacked on a fuel surcharge, right? Because instead of raising all the other prices, they just put a fuel surcharge on there. Well, they never took it off.
Exactly.
They continued to do the fuel surcharge 20 years later.
People get used to paying it, and they just expect that it's going to be that way moving forward.
It's like airlines. Oh, there's a fuel surcharge now for flying because jet fuel. It's like, what?
By the way, back to the Sony pricing, I'm looking deeper into some of the price. The A7 IV, that one is now selling for $2,700, and that's a 4-year-old camera pretty much at this point. And that's more expensive than when it came out. It was $2,500 when it got announced. It's actually above the standard MSRP.
Not a good thing.
No, like at least the A1 is still under the price that when it came, because it's such an old camera at this point, but it also has been replaced. But still, the A7 IV, which is rarely on sale, is now selling for more than what it was introduced at.
Not good. Not good.
Not good at all.
It's definitely going to... Like I've been saying for the past couple of weeks, this is now the time where we start to feel the heat on the tariffs. It's the 3 months after is when the stuff starts kicking in, and you notice that things are more expensive, a lot more expensive, and
a lot of it's still up in the air.
Yeah, it's just it's not a good time financially for a lot of people. Just the unknowns. It's just the unknowns are killers. So moving on to this AI discussion. The other day, I posted and clearly stated that I used AI because I didn't want people to be like, how did you make these? Like sample posters for the Fronos Photo Bootcamp on July... No, not July. This one is the August 16th boot camp here in Philly. There's spots still available. Go to bit.ly/FroCamp816 if you want to lock up a spot and be one of them. We've moved a bunch and we still have a bunch to go to hopefully sell that one out as well. But I was like putting together a promotional thing, just like an email to put out or send messages. And I was like, oh, you know what? I wonder what ChatGPT would do if I prompted it to do something, right? make a poster with Jared Polin of Frono's photo in it, holding a camera, smiling about a boot camp in Philadelphia. And I did, and I looked at it, I was like, in 30 seconds or less, it has the skyline perfectly done. It has me smiling, which I don't smile. I mean, I told it to have me smile. It had a purple shirt, which I didn't tell it to have I Shoot Raw on, so it didn't do that. And then my arms were too small, so I reprompted it to make my arms bigger to match.
It had August with 2 A's spelled with 2 A's.
It got it right the first time, but for whatever reason, the next time when I redid it, it just didn't get it right. But no one's saying that it's perfect. But I thought it was fun, and I thought it was quick, and I thought it was good, and I wasn't planning on paying someone, an illustrator, to do it in the first place. I just did it, and I liked the results, and they weren't perfect. And I shared, and the one that is like diabolical, where it started to get to those like oranges and blues and purples, where my muscles are really bulging and I look psychotic. Like
you're pulling a Liver King look.
That went way too far.
Yeah.
But so I post this on
You're
Instagram.
Like, that's accurate, actually.
Yeah. I posted it on Instagram, and I made it clear that it was AI and what I prompted it with. And of course, it goes to Facebook, and I don't check comments on these things. And then the other day I went on and I was just like, I read a couple randomly, and it was like, you're an asshole. This is a bad, like someone used the words, this is a bad look for you. And I'm like, why? No, I disagree. And their point was that you used AI and you're replacing an illustrator who could have done this. Sure. An illustrator could have done this, but I wasn't going to spend $500 on the illustrator or more and wait 2 weeks for them to come up with something that is going to be very good, but it's unnecessary for my needs and my purposes right now.
The irony is that a lot of graphic designers are integrating AI into their own work.
And a lot of the issue that people take with doing it is the same issue that, whoa, they built these off of stealing everybody else's artwork and the artist doesn't get paid. I'm like, yeah, I understand that. It's already done. You can't put the cat back in the bag. It's already done. So shut the fuck up and move on. Deal with it. You're not going to get those artists paid. They crawled my work. They crawled your work. They crawled everybody's work. And when it comes to videos from Google, and they're doing that Sora, and they're doing all the AI videos, they crawled all my YouTube videos. Probably because in the terms of service somewhere that I signed when I signed up before AI was even a thing, it's like, you give us the right to use this to train models and everything.
Some sort of extremely vague language that they
So
could,
they did it.
Yeah.
So what? I'm going to use it to my benefit to buy more property.
It is unfortunate that it is single-handedly destroying the graphic design industry as a whole, I'd say, right now.
But you still there's still going to be graphic designers and artists that create things in such a way that it's necessary. Here's an example.
Of course, yeah.
Here's an example of the person that made the AI video commercials recently in the NBA that used AI. He's like, I've been in the industry for 20 years for making commercials. So I understand the blocking, the design, the way to write a story arc, the way to do it. And the point is, you still need to prompt the AI. You still need to give it direction. You can say, make a commercial, but it may not be the best commercial that it could be unless someone who is in the know, who is a production, what is it? Not a designer who would be sitting there, a DP who understands the movements and the swings.
You're playing director, basically.
Yes, you're literally
directing.
That's the word. You have to direct the AI. You still need to direct. So for someone to be like, oh, well, you're just replacing a designer and AI is going to replace you. It's like, sure, we could have AI make a Jared video. AI could make a photo news fix. But in order to do it properly, I could literally write a script. If I'm traveling, I could write the script. And I could say, in the style of Jared Polin, Frono's photo, standing in this location with this background, upload the image of my background and do it with me wearing what shirt, tell it to do that with this style, using this script, using the prompts, and it will be able to, in the future, do that. but I still have to tell it what to do. It can't be like report on the news and then just make it up. Or to have it teach photography, it could teach based off of my beginner guide. It could take some of those things, but I still will need to polish and put my spin on it because it's not going to get everything perfect.
Right now.
Well, right now, right, but...
Because you could say, in the style of Frono's photo, in the style of Jared Polin.
But it's not going to give, the exact answer that I would give. It's going to base it off of things that I've put out into the world. So it's going to be very smart because I put a lot in terms of photography. But also, hold on. But don't forget, I've been making videos for 16 years. So something that might have been said 16 years ago might not hold true today because of technological changes or just differences in how things are done.
Sure, no, I get it. I'm going to play devil's advocate and just say, well, is it good enough? Just like your promotional poster that you didn't want to pay a designer for, is it good enough?
In some situations, yeah. 100%. In some situations, yes, good enough is going to be good enough. It's like yelling at Apple for making a cell phone that takes pictures and then saying, well, I always used a Coolpix point and shoot from Nikon and they just stole that idea. It's like, well, evolution, man. And people have taken inspiration from artists throughout history, right? Painters have taken inspiration from their mentors, and they've incorporated that into their own work. Now, this is just at an industrial level, at a much larger level, but the cat's out of the bag. And it just gets me what pisses me off in the comments, and again, I don't really engage in comments because it doesn't really serve much of a purpose. I don't engage for 99.99% of the stuff that I read personally on Instagram that has nothing to do with Frono's photo, because every time I go to write a comment, I'm just like, what's the point? I'm not going to come back and read this. And if I do, they're just going to counter it and it's going to become some flame war. And the thing is, people will take every word that I say in a video and be like, and pinpoint like on one thing and say, you blah, blah, blah this. And it's like, well, there's nuance to that, right? In a 1 minute story, you're not getting the entire breadth of what's in my brain.
Sure.
And so they go to town on ripping you and telling you, you said this. And I was like, well, sure. If you take that at the literal word, but don't look at anything else or don't like, when it comes to commenting, instead of just sitting there and being like, you said this, therefore you're an asshole, how about countering in a way that's like, I'm not sure if you meant this when you were mentioning this. Could you please clarify, right? But it's always, everybody wants to dunk or spike the ball on you and be like, gotcha. They're so quick to just try to bury you.
I would think most people were up in arms in the comments section, mainly because your entire audience, are artists, and this is heavily affecting other artists, and you're promoting this, and it's taking away artists' jobs. So I could see that.
100%. I'll continue to promote it.
Yeah.
100%. We've been using AI in many ways that you don't even think about for years. Look, here's a case in point, Stephen. How many times have you logged into a website where it's like, click on all the bikes in the squares, right?
Yep.
And it shows you bikes, it shows you cars, it shows you airplanes, and you have to click all the bikes. Guess what you've been doing for the last 20 years that's been around? You've been training a system to start to visually know the difference between the bikes, the cars, the trains. So that it's taking and speeding up something, but that's taking away jobs. It's like saying that the computer should have never gotten so powerful because it's taking away punch card jobs from the punch card operator.
So I actually just asked AI, ChatGPT, is it bad for a photographer to promote a poster that was made with AI and say it's, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to hear what they said back?
Sure. Let's hear what AI had to say.
ChatGPT says, it suggests that AI is good enough. Using AI for posters implies that parts of visual communication, marketing in this case, don't require a photographer's eye, which unintentionally supports the argument that AI can replace creatives. This is risky in an industry where photographers are already fighting to prove their continued value in an AI-saturated market where AI is considered good enough. If a photographer draws a hard line against AI in photography, but uses it in their branding, it weakens their argument, blurs ethical standards, and confuses their audience. It's not just about what tool is used, it's about consistency, authenticity, and respecting the craft across all touch points.
Yeah, I agree with it. And I'm not being a hypocrite because I'm not sitting there saying you shouldn't use it. I'm saying you should use it. I'm saying you should adapt and continue to use it. It's like saying when Kodak came out with roll film that the photographers of the day were like, I'm not going to do it. But for the general public, good enough was good enough. Autofocus comes out.
What about AI editing? What about AI culling, all of that stuff?
I don't like it personally.
Yeah.
I don't like the way that the AI editing and AI culling works. Does it work in some situations? Yes. But to me, there's the personal feel of editing my work. Now, when it comes to weddings, you start to draw a line when it came to weddings, because if you took 4,000, 5,000 pictures and the AI was able to go through, cull, and give it a good edit, then so be it. So be it. That's saving you time. And is it taking away the job from an editor? Because I know wedding photographers have some editors that do it. But the answer is yeah. It could take away the job from them because it's doing a good enough job and it's saving them time and money that maybe they'll go back and double check the stuff. It's adapt or die. And I know people hate when you say adapt or die, but for all the history of creativity, you've always, like, when point and shoot cameras came out and people were like, well, I don't need to hire a photographer anymore because my neighbor has a picture, can take pictures. Sure, it's good enough sometimes, but it's not as good as what the professional is going to do. You still need the professional. You're not going to replace us right now shooting sports. You could put the cameras around and you can have the cameras literally track the ball and go to the action and get better and better. And someday they're going to point in the right direction and do that. But there's a reason why live sports and live action in general is continuing to garner large audiences, because it can't be faked. A baseball game, soccer matches, they're not faked. They're things that are reality that you must tune in to engage with and watch in order to get the fulfillment of the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat. And that's why the reality stuff will continue to be more important as digital lives and AI stuff starts to converge and make things, the fake. People are going to want real and more experiences because it gets them away from the her mentality.
100% agree.
I just when people try to, the thing that someone was like, it's a bad look for you. And I disagree. You can get upset all you want about it, but it's here. And saying that I'm taking and I'm hurting jobs of other creatives, it's already done, man. These things are happening. These things are happening. Like those AI photo booths, like they're good enough, but they're not going to replace you to go do a real portrait. This shit's going to be good enough for the people that weren't going to spend money on a real photographer anyway. So someone isn't going to go spend $1,500 to $2,000 to hire Peter Hurley when they're like, I don't need it, but I'll go sit in a booth for $20, $30 and it's going to take a picture that's fine. I'm happy with it. That doesn't mean it's the best. There's still going to be the need for the professionals. And I would embrace it as much as you can to use it to your best ability. And I always come back to my Squarespace stuff. Back in the day, I had to hire someone to put up a gallery of images. I had to send them the 20 images. I had to say, can you upload this into a gallery? And then when they felt like doing it in a day or two or a week or two, they would put up the gallery because they had to code it. They had to write the fucking code. Well, now you go into Squarespace, you just drag and drop it. And if you want to build a website in a matter of minutes, you can literally go to ChatGPT and say, write me code to do this, 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 and this, and it's going to spit out code. I have a friend who just helped me, fronosphoto.com/book2. I just threw shit up there. And then my buddy's like, this looks like shit. I was like, yeah, could you clean it up? He's like, let me throw it. And my buddy is a designer. He's a web developer. He's a graphic designer. He does all of that. He's like, let me see what the AI I use can do first. And it cleaned it up. Did it make it perfect? He still had to go in and make some tweaks, but it was like, oh, he's like, yo, hold on, let me reprompt it. He's like, sometimes the prompts take a long time. He's like, sometimes I have to fix it, but it's just pretty incredible. He's like, I designed this new app using this AI app builder that allowed me to create this thing that did exactly what it would do. Another friend of mine who sold out a business, sold it for a lot of money. He's like, I had this idea. There was an app. This app didn't exist. I went into this thing that builds an app. I wanted every day to get a prompt in my phone that showed me on this date, if today is, what is it? Are we in July? July 3rd. He's like, I want to see photos from July 3rd. I want to see calendar things. He's like, so he starts scrolling. He's like, here's all the things that happened on July 3rd in my calendar or in my life that I've put on my phone throughout the history of having this phone. He's like, I don't know, it took me like 30 minutes to make this thing, and it's kind of cool, and it's for personal use.
Yeah, back to what I was saying, a lot of designers these days are using it as just another tool in their arsenal. You know, they're now integrating it into their own work and supplementing their own work with AI tools. And I think that's the way to do it. That's how I personally do it with photography when it comes to editing or something like that. There's here and there, it's helping me speed up a lot of my editing or do a finer cutout of the background or whatever it may be. I personally use it we use it for titling a lot. For
suggestions.
Suggestions, yeah. And then we'll take it from there and kind of have the overall theme and then put our own spin on it. It's just scary how far it's come, how quickly. I've said this time and time again, but yeah.
Yeah. And the reason I bring all this up is the way that people comment and try to tear you down and tell you that this is a bad look. And it's like, you can think it's a bad look all you want. I don't agree.
Again, I could see the bad look just because it's a creative promoting something that's taking away jobs from other creatives.
As I keep saying, I was not going to hire a graphic designer to design that thing that I did right there. But see, the other point is, I literally put up a post that said, I used AI to do this. And you can't get my entire brain thought in that one post that I wrote a paragraph about and posted. So you don't know where I stand. So ask the fucking question. Don't fucking try to bury me or bury anybody on the internet because you think you know where they stand because they did one thing. Have a discussion about it. Ask the question in a way is like, well, do you feel like, instead of saying this is a bad look, you're doing this. Instead of that, say, hey, do you think that this is a bad thing? Because I believe that X, Y, and Z, instead of just trying to bury you. And that goes across the internet for everything. Stop trying to fucking bury people and dunk on people's heads for everything because you don't know, you can't get every word out when you post a post. And fuck off.
Yeah.
I want to get back to other work, Steven. I want to get back to scanning these negatives that take 10 minutes to scan at the scale that I'm doing them because they're so large. But I'm excited to see my focuses.
Your focuses. Can we be done talking about AI moving forward, please?
Do you want to? Well, yeah. Well, you don't talk about it that often.
So sick of it.
The moral of the story is it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
Yep.
So stop trying to think that it's going to go somewhere because it's not. It's not going anywhere. It's always going to be here. And it's going to continue to get better and better. So that's it, people. Episode 158.
Which, by the way, we're over 3 years now, almost every single week, nonstop doing these podcasts.
Yeah.
Pretty insane.
3 years.
3 years.
I mean,
3 full years.
It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot of, it's real quick. It started because Steven and I would talk on the phone again for like 45 minutes to an hour. And I was like, why are we not recording these like we used to, but a little different than what we used to? And that's how we got back into starting to do them. And it was just a lighter lift originally. So,
that's well, now we actually go in with somewhat of a game plan before we record.
Yeah. There's a game plan. Yeah. So, all right. I hope you guys have a happy, not happy, but a nice July 4th if you're in the United States. And Canada, if you had a Canada Day, I don't even know what Canada Day is, if that's their Independence Day or not. I have no idea. The thing is, don't blow off your fucking fingers. Don't blow off your hands.
Yeah.
You need your stuff to take pictures. You need your eyes. Don't do stupid shit. I hate fireworks because I hate things that explode and might kill me or maim me or hurt me. I don't like that, so I stay away from dumb shit, especially when drinking's involved.
Hell yeah. What?
Does your dad do fireworks at the house?
No, we don't do any fireworks. The only thing we'll with the kids, we have the little poppers that you throw on the ground.
Poppers are fun.
Yeah, just for fun. They love that.
You ever throw them at anybody?
We don't do any type of actual fireworks.
That's good. I don't like any fireworks.
Same. I'll watch fireworks, but I won't do them myself.
It's also that time of year in Philly where you don't know if it's play the game. Is it fireworks or gunfire?
Or a gunshot. Well, my brother said in Atlantic City, for example, where he works as a police officer, a lot of the detectors, the gunshot detectors, whatever they have around the city, July 4th is the worst day for those because they're going off everywhere and they can't tell what's a gunshot and what's fireworks.
Gunshot or fireworks? All right. Thank you guys very much for watching. Be safe. And by watching, I mean listening. Jared Polin, frontnewsphoto.com. See ya.
Bye.